get hyper-aggressive with the eldest vampire on Innistrad, Edgar Markov. Can any of our opponents survive past turn 5 in this double feature match? Find out next on Commander Replay.
Alright, welcome back everyone, playing some hyper-aggressive Edgar Markov. This hand looks keepable. Let's go ahead and keep that. Got a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, followed by a pump effect. Yeah, I can dig it. So, our turn 1, we're going to play the Blood Crypt, pay the life, play the Vampire Cutthroat, and get an Edgar Markov trigger. The Ulrich opponent says it's their second game ever on MTGO. Good for them. Unfortunately, we are playing a not-friendly deck. So, Afara starts with Ancient Tomb and Azoria Signet. Pretty good turn 1 from them. Back to our turn, we draw a Child of Night. Right now, we will play the Isolated Chapel. We'll play the Child of Night. We'll get another trigger off Edgar Markov. Choosing to go with the Child of Night over the Asylum Visitor because of the lifelink. We'll start after the Afara opponent. Afara is the most likely to have a board wipe, and board wipes are the things that we do not want to see. So Afara coming down on turn 2. Sounds good to me. Yeah. We draw into a Scrubland. We will play the Scrubland, play the Vampire Nighthawk, get another Eminence trigger. We will swing back into the Afara. So, Afara down to 29, we go up to 42. Felwar Stone for the Afara. Mobilization for the Afara. Seems pretty good. Dictate of Krufix coming down for the Nekusar. That'll get us some additional card draw. So, Ulrich's Kindred coming down for the Ulrich opponent. Oh, there's a coat of arms. Yeah. Dictate's going to trigger. We get to draw an additional card. Let's play the Sacred Foundry. We'll play it untapped. Play the Asylum Visitor. Get another Edgar Markov trigger. Then play the Vampiric Fury. And send all of our things into the Afara. So Afara goes all the way down to 7. They will get to draw an extra card, which is a little bit scary because blue-white probably running some board wipes. So Dictate triggers for our opponent. Afara unfortunately leaves up most of their mana, which is always the scariest thing when you're facing a blue and white opponent. Teferi's Puzzle Box will unfortunately get rid of our coat of arms. I was hoping to kill everyone at the table with the coat of arms. Kessig Prowler coming in for the Ulrich opponent. Reckless Waif for the Werewolf opponent. There's a Vampiric Tutor. Turn off all auto yields. So the Afara opponent scoops it up. They got tired of waiting for the Nekusar opponent. I think it's alright. Afara, we're probably going to kill Afara. What I'm going to do right here, before the Puzzle Box, I'm going to Vampiric Tutor and find something cool that'll allow us to punch out a lot of damage, which we can put on top of our deck and then draw into with the Puzzle Box. Ooh, Shared Animosity seems really good. Yeah, let's go with Shared Animosity. That might be enough to end the game. So put our cards on the bottom. Draw the Shared Animosity, draw a Mana Crypt. We'll get one more draw off the Dictate of Krufix. We draw a Vampire Hexmage, play the Smoldering Marsh, play the Mana Crypt, play the Shared Animosity. I'm going to hold back the Vampire Hexmage just in case someone finds a board wipe. We don't need to super overcommit. So I think each of our creatures is going to get +7. And so Nekusar scoops it up. They see the lethal incoming. Yeah, alright. Declare our attackers, and this should be terribly lethal. Or at least they will be in very bad shape. That is a lot of power. Opponent goes down to 23 and loses all of their creatures. Blasphemous Act and they would get us pretty good. Even a Pyroclasm would do quite a bit of work. Plays a Sol Ring. So there it is. Hyper-aggressive Edgar Markov. Definitely rubbing some people the wrong way at the table. This is not a deck you should break out unless you have a very competitive meta that you play in. This deck does not make friends. Alright, welcome back everyone. Playing some Edgar Markov. This is a pretty good opening hand, so we'll go ahead and keep this. We do have a Mana Crypt. So yes, we're playing Edgar Markov, 3 red, white, black, for a 4/4 with Eminence. Whenever you cast another vampire, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. It has first strike and haste, and whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. Pretty sweet card. Anyway, our turn 1, drop down this Mana Crypt. We will play the Swamp, play the Blood Artist, and that will give us an Eminence trigger, so we'll get a token out of the deal. And that's a pretty solid turn 1. We'll pass the turn. Jorga Treespeaker coming down for the Azuri opponent. Sol Ring for the Nizan opponent. So also getting their early mana ramp on, and gonna lay down some Lightning Greaves to go with it. So back to our turn, we get a Mana Crypt trigger. Go Tails. And we won the flip. Nice. Draw a Swamp. Play the Swamp. Play the Gifted Aetherborn. Another Edgar Markov trigger. Who is the scariest opponent? I don't know. I find all these opponents a little bit scary. I guess we'll go in for one at the Malik opponent. Combo off opponents always kind of scare me because they can win the game out of nowhere. Opponent's going to pump up their Jorga Tree Speaker. Has a counter on it. Pure Steel Paladin coming down for the Nazan. So Nazan off to a pretty good start. One short of Metalcraft. And there's an Umezawa's Jitte. Ooh. Now they've got Metalcraft, they can equip the Jitte and the boots and get into the swinging and then start shooting down our tokens. And I do not love that. And it looks like that's their plan. So Pure Steel Paladin going to swing into the Malik opponent and will likely shoot some of our stuff down. Yep, shoots down our Blood Artist. So we'll definitely ping the opponent who did that to us. So back to our turn, we get another Mana Crypt trigger. We'll go Tails again. Lost this one. Down to 38. Ooh, there's a Cathar's Crusade. That is a good card. We want to start working our way towards that. We don't have 2 white currently. So we're going to play the Bloodstained Mire, go find our Scrubland. Scrubland into play. I'm going to play the Vanquisher's Banner right here because that'll make it harder for the Nazan opponent to shoot down our tokens. They'll only be able to shoot down 1 token a turn as opposed to 2. And I feel like that might be enough to discourage them from doing so. So choose Vampire with the Vanquisher's Banner. Then we'll make them pay the price for shooting down our stuff. So we have a little guild feud going already. Nazan down to 32. We go up to 40. Azuri Claw of Progress coming into play. Ooh, that is a Darksteel Plate coming down for the Nazan opponent. Wow. And a Mana Crypt. Yep, all the hits. So Pure Steel Paladin decides not to attack. And based on that, we do not have to swing into them any longer. So back to our turn. Malik taps out. We get another Mana Crypt trigger. We'll go heads this time. We lost the flip. Down to 37. We draw a Sangromancer. We're going to play the Smoldering Marsh. Comes in untapped. And then we will play Edgar Markov and start swinging away. So we get to draw a card off of the Vanquisher's Banner, and that finds us an Isolated Chapel. It's always really good to keep making your land drops, so that'll be good next turn. And then I'm just going to send everything into the Malik opponent. Or do we go with Azuri? Malik hasn't really done anything. I'm going to go with Azuri. So Edgar Markov is going to put a +1/+1 counter on all of our vampires. So our vampire is starting to get pumped up. Looking pretty good. Ooh, nice. Get in for a sizable hit on Azuri. They go down to 24, 6 commander, and we go up to 41. There's a Yamavaya Hollow for the Azuri. Something we'll need to be careful of. We'll need to remember that their creatures regenerate. And a Findhorn Elf's coming down. Edric Spymaster of Tress coming down. That is a magic card. We have to be careful of that. That does incentivize us to attack elsewhere, which we may do so we can draw a bunch of cards. And opponent's going to start pumping up their Edric with the +1/+1 counters. They have 2 experience counters currently. So Edric now a 4/4. It's not going to be the easiest thing to get through the Azuri opponent. So opponent's going to cast their Nazan. Most likely they go find the Hammer. Yep, getting Nazan's Hammer. Hammer comes into play. Pure Steel Paladin triggers. They get to draw, and the Hammer will equip to something for free. So I'm going to put the Hammer on Nazan because of the Swiftfoot boots already on the Pure Steel Paladin. And there's a Core Duelist for our opponent. They could equip everything onto that if they wanted to and attack. And that would actually do quite a bit of damage and get them a bunch of counters on their Jitte. It seems like they may be doing that. They did miss the Hammer of Nazan. Nazan is a 7/4 indestructible. That's, I don't exactly know how we're going to get through that, but we'll try to find a way. Core Duelist going into the Malik opponent. Edric Spymaster of Trest is going to trigger. And Edric triggers again, and another set of counters on the Jitte. So going to be 5 counters on Umezawa's Jitte. Yep, there's a 5. That is actually potentially pretty problematic. Wizened Snitches. Players play with the top card of their libraries revealed. So we've got a Rapid Hybridization, a Psychic Spiral. Shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. Target player puts that many cards from the top of his library into the graveyard. Interesting. There's an Argentum Armor, and we have... Ooh, nice. We have a Maverick Fiend Dusk Apostle. Oh, crap. We won't be able to cast that because I was hoping we could cast Cathar's Crusade and a Vampire in the same turn, but we don't have enough white sources to make that happen. We'll go heads. Lost the flip. Down to 38. We have a Sanctum Seeker on top of our deck. So play the Isolated Chapel. That gives us 2, 4, 6, 7 total mana. We could go Sagromancer, Maverick Fiend. I like that. Let's do that. So we'll play the Sagromancer. Edgar Markov will trigger. The banner will trigger. We have a land tax on top of our deck. Land tax is okay. Although we should be able to draw past it with the Edric Spymaster of Trest down. Play the Maverick Fiend. So we'll get another Edgar Markov trigger and another banner trigger. We draw a land tax. We have a land on top of our deck. Lands are good. We still need to keep making land drops. Then we will go to combat. We should move some of this stuff. Ooh, Argentum Armor. Why didn't we attack? Yeah, it totally just skipped over my combat phase. That is not cool. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that probably costs us the game. The board is pretty clogged up now. That's a thing. Did opponent not use their Azuri ability? Huh. Nothing got bigger. There's the Argentum Armor. Pure Steel Paladin and Hammer of Nazan gonna trigger. So opponent gets to blow up the thing of their choosing. I have to imagine they come our way. Opponent has a Skull Clamp on top of their deck now. Strangely, opponent did not equip the Argentum Armor with the Nazan. No worries, I still have the Pure Steel Paladin ability, so... Wow. Core Duelist, 7/7 double strike with Argentum Armor. Let's see what they blow up. My guess would be either the Vanquisher's Banner or Edgar Markov, but Azuri is not the worst choice either. Oh yeah, I always forget about the tap ability on Nazan. Yep, opponent goes after Edgar Markov. That's kind of annoying. But at least we're not taking the damage from the Core Duelist. That's good. So Umezawa's Jitte going to get more counters on. It's going to go all the way up to 9 counters. Ooh, Pariah Shield on top of their deck. Opponent plays a Skull Clamp. More triggers for Pure Steel Paladin and Hammer of Nazan. Mostly lands on top of people's decks right now. Opponent's going to equip the Jitte to the Pure Steel Paladin. Opponent's going to... Ooh, nice. Opponent plays a Vandal Blast. Oh, it's going to get our Mana Crypt, and it's going to get our Vanquisher's Banner, which, not great, but it's going to take down that Umezawa's Jitte, and that is huge. Also, Nazan has so many artifacts in play. Argentum Armor, Lightning Greaves. The Hammer will stay. I believe that's indestructible. So opponent's going to start shooting things down with the Jitte, and because of that, we're going to repay them in kind if they shoot down all of our stuff. Shoots down one of our opponent's things. We gain 3 life off of Sangromancer. Keep our life total nice and high. So we get to use Sangromancer's ability. Up to 41. So Nazan gets hit pretty hard. They still have their Commander and Pure Steel Paladin in play, and 6 cards in hand, but they did take some pretty big losses in terms of what they had in play. Ooh, nice. Opponent's going to play Rapid Hybridization on the Nazan. That does incentivize me to attack into them a bit more. We draw our Scalding Tarn. Play the Scalding Tarn. We have 6 mana total. We probably just want to get Cathar's Crusade down this turn. Pure Steel Paladin's indestructible. It would eat one of our tokens. Yeah, still can't really attack into Nazan profitably. So I guess we just swing into the Malik opponent. Try to get the card draw, and then we'll try dealing with Nazan. So we get 4 Edric Spymaster triggers. Get a land. Get a Sanguine Bond. Get a Tectonic Edge. And a Promise of Power. Nice. We can definitely work with some of that stuff. Crack the Scalding Tarn. See if we can find something that's white. We'll get our Plateau. Play the Cathar's Crusade. Play the Land Tax. And pass the turn. Opponent's going to level up their Jorga Tree Speaker. We have a Strip Mine on top of our deck that's not particularly helpful. No attacks from the Azuri opponent. Opponent showing a Sword of the Animist on top of the Nazan's deck. Opponent's going to equip up the Core Duelist with the Dark Steel Plate. And Core Duelist coming into us. 1/1 double strike. As long as it stays that way, not the end of the world. Oh, they do get to draw 2 cards. The drawing 2 cards is much worse than the combat damage. Oh, they have a Whisper Silk Cloak on top of their deck. Yeah, that's never caused problems. Sword of the Animist coming down. Pure Steel Paladin's going to get to draw. Opponent equips up their Sword of the Animist and passes the turn. Prognostic Sphinx. Discard a card, gains hexproof. When it attacks, scry 3. Okay. We draw into a Strip Mine. We're showing a Swords to Plowshares on top of our deck. I think right here I'm just going to play the Vona. We'll get an Edgar Markov trigger. Cathar's Crusade will trigger. Cathar's Crusade will trigger again. And things are getting bigger. We'll play the tap land, return one of our basics, and we're going to do some attacking. I think we're going to send everything at Nazan. So I'm going to throw a token in front of 1 and take the rest. We get 4 more triggers. Draw Swords of Plowshares, Thran Dynamo, Plains, And a Sacred Foundry. Ooh, we have Vanquished and Making on top of our deck. That'll be good. I feel like there's anything really worth shooting yet with the Swords of Plowshares, so we'll just hang on to that. We'll pass the turn. We will have to discard down to hand size. What can we get rid of? I think we can drop Plains. Feel like we'll be all right without the Tectonic Edge. So we're getting quite a bit of help off of the Edric Spymaster of Trest. Who knew that drawing lots of cards was really good? Nazan all the way down to 13, by the way. Azuri Claw of Progress coming back into play. Opponent's going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So Azuri getting a little bigger. Edric now becomes a 7/7 and is going to swing into the Nazan. Sounds good to me. Nazan goes all the way down to 6. Edric's going to trigger. They get to draw another card. And as long as there's no board wipe or anything like that, I'm feeling really good about our next turn. Ooh, Pariah Shield. We may need to use the Swords to Plowshares to get around that Pariah Shield. Although we also have Sanguine Bond, which gets around Pariah Shield, so maybe we won't have to do that. Actually, we also have Anguished Unmaking on top of our deck, so shouldn't be too concerning. So opponent quips up their Core Duelist. It's got a Sword of the Animist, a Pariah Shield, and a Darksteel Plate on it, so it is 2/2 indestructible and will find a land when it attacks. Opponent's going to get a Sword of the Animist trigger. They're sending their Core Duelist into the Azuri opponent. So Azuri goes down to 20. Opponent's going to move around the Sword of the Animist. Azuri said their game froze, and good game. So Malik scoops it up, Nazan scoops it up, and Azuri about to scoop it up. Pretty sure we had the win coming back to our turn. I was going to shoot something end step with Swords to Plowshares, either the thing with the Pariah Shield or this Azuri Claw of Progress, and then was going to follow it up. On our turn, I was probably just going to slam Edgar Markov, which would get the +1/+1 counter from Cathar's Crusade, and then everyone else would get the +1/+1 counters during attack. And that's quite a bit of power. Opponents were at low life totals with not a lot of blockers, so I think that was going to be good enough. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.